Now, coming at it from the back door, if you're on Lipitor and you've had a heart attack, or Lipitor, Crestor, Vytorin, generic Zocor, which, by the way, a study was done that showed that if you take either generic Zocor, maybe even regular Zocor, if you divide the population, who's taking Lipitor, who's taking this generic Zocor or regular Zocor, more people will remain on Lipitor than they will on Zocor. And Zocor has gone generic, and that's one of the reasons that it may be recommended. That is another reason why I am against the use of, not against the use of generics. I use them if the goals are easy. If a person needs their non-HDL cholesterol lowered 30 or 40 points, I will use generic Zocor. But there are more interactions. I have to tell my patients, if you get a cold or bronchitis and you get treated with an antibiotic, you probably should stop your Zocor because there's an interaction with medications. There are more interactions with Zocor than there are interactions with Lipitor. And so Lipitor and Crestor turn out to be my drugs of choice, but the HMOs give me a hard time and tell me that I'm doing a bad job because I don't use enough generics. Statin discontinuation following heart attack doubles the heart attack risk. So if you've gone to a hospital and your doctor says your cholesterol is too high, frankly, everybody who's had a heart attack should go on a statin unless they, with rare exceptions, and I won't go into the exceptions. Basically, I'm talking about becoming a vegan vegetarian with about 15% body fat that works up to the point where they're walking 10 miles a day with no symptoms. But if you've had a heart attack, you probably need to be on Lipitor or generic Zocor or Crestor or Vytorin or Pravachol, Pravastatin. But generally, if you stop that medication, it doubles your risk of a heart attack. Next, intensive cholesterol reduction improves the function of the blood vessels in the body. Well, if you think of it this way, cholesterol goes in, when it's high, goes and deposits in those blood vessels, and then it starts to, the cholesterol plaques degenerate, and so they get calcium in them, and the calcium is like stone and it makes them stiff. Well, you start depleting that cholesterol out of that, and it turns out by giving enough of statin, by giving enough of the Lipitor or the Crestor or the Vytorin, and those are the three heavy hitters. If you give enough of those, you can soften up those blood vessels. Obviously, treating for high blood pressure generally also helps. Here is an article about Crestor causes reversal of hardening of the arteries. You can do that naturally with diet, exercise, and percent body fat reduction to clear lines of definition. If you don't know what clear lines of definition are, call me at the office, 549-3444. But that is when there is an absence of fat under the skin to the point where you can see the muscles meet the muscles on the abdomen. You can sometimes see that on the arms, and it's not quite enough, but what you want to see it is here on the abdomen. So Crestor caused documented evidence of reversal of hardening of the arteries because it gets the non-HDL cholesterol down so low in the range that I'm talking about, a non-HDL of less than 90. Now, let's say you absolutely refuse to take a statin. What about red yeast rice, which is the natural form of Mevacor? And a study was done that showed that that does help, and it reduces risk of heart attack. Same thing here is an article that says if you really treat a person aggressively for their cholesterol and they have evidence of hardening of the arteries in their neck, low risk for events of asymptomatic carotid stenosis with intensive medical therapy. So that means get the cholesterol down, get the blood pressure down, get that non-HDL cholesterol to less than 90, and that reduces the risk of hardening of the arteries progressing here in the neck and causing stroke. There is a new form of Byetta. Byetta, although it's given by injection, is one of my favorite medications for the management of diabetes. And there is a new form that's coming onto the market. It can be given once a week, and it has a great effect on helping people lose weight, not gain weight when they're treated for their diabetes, which frequently happens when they're treated with like Amaryl or glimepiride or glyburide and those kinds of medications. This one is called Byetta. It's given by injection. You'll be able to take it once a week, and it reduces appetite. It's associated with weight loss, and somebody ought to get smart and use it just generally in the overweight. Physical activity may help offset the genetic risk for obesity. Yes, there are people who are predisposed to developing overweight obesity. It is my opinion that 90% of Americans are overweight. I draw the line at whether or not you can see the clear lines of definition on the abdomen. If you cannot see the clear lines of definition, you have more work to do. And you do it for yourself, you don't do it for me. It's not about winning beauty contests, it is about disease prevention. The thinner you are, unless you have anorexia, the thinner you are, the better off you are. Now, what about doing something crazy and starving yourself? All I'm saying is I want you to get down to the point where you can see the muscles meet the muscles on the abdomen, and the reason you can see that is because there's no fat under the skin. What if you're older? What if you've been pregnant? Just go as far as you can go. That's always my admonition. Just do the best job you can do. And don't lose focus, and don't worry about making a mistake. Just do what you can do.